Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today you have a special edition. I brought my best friend Alysha to share some of her thoughts on friendship. Everything we talk about in this video is unfiltered. We're sharing our very honest thoughts. So, a little bit disclaimer here. Please be kind, be gentle to us, to my friends. If you do have a different opinions, remember we agree with disagree. So if you do have a different thoughts, please leave a comment down below and share your thoughts with us. But please be kind. Since this is a very long episode, I'm going to divide it into two parts. So this is your part one. Did they say that it's being recorded?
Yes.
That part scared me. I had a meeting yesterday, and from between 3:30 to 4:30, it was all great timing because then I can test my skills and then see if I can record anything. And then all of a sudden there was like, your video has been recorded. I was like, holy cow, I got shocked about it. So okay, I'll just warn you when we do that so you don't get scared about it. Yeah, anyway, so the reason I'm talking about this and I know you always text me occasionally, and I feel like I'm such a bad friend because I didn't start to texting message until like I need your help. Hey, can you do me a favor? I know I haven't talked to you for a while, but at that moment you were talking about a lot of people, and I remember you sent me the video of you doing some voiceover for your friend, and I was like, oh, wow, you really know a lot of different friends. Like I wish I could meet them. But that's when I started thinking about friendship. I feel like how could you manage to have so many friends that with different personalities? Maybe.
Yeah. Like for me personally, I think I just kind of amass friends from different circles. So like, for instance, that video that I sent you, that's my friend from high school. And to be honest, like when we met, when we were 13, she thought I was really weird. So, I mean, you imagine 17 years later, we're really good friends. But I don't know, I think part of it is like, it's just part of my personality. I like connecting with people. And, yeah, I mean, I guess I've worked in a few different industries, and now I've gone back to school twice, so I've just sort of met people in different areas as I went along, I guess.
Yeah, you see, I love connecting with people, and that reminded me when we started our HR course. I remember, I forgot the professor's name, but we're doing recruiting or something, and she asked one question that, why do you want to do HR? I still remember my first answer is, I love people. I was like, what on earth I would love people? Like, I'm the one who probably hates the people most.
Lies.
And then she looked at me, she's like, you sure that's your answer? I still remember saying, yeah, I have this passion for people. And I said, you do understand HR fires people, right? So, yeah, but I still love people. So I was really trying so hard.
That's also why, yeah, I didn't excel in an HR career either, Bay, because like I don't like confrontation, and I don't think I could deal with people all day long. But I think that was a common response amongst people in HR. I think generally the intentions of HR professionals are good. Like they want to go into the profession to help people. It's just that the reality is like, well, I don't know. I don't want to get too, not to get too controversial, but I mean, a lot of times like HR, especially like in a private company, they're protecting the assets of the company versus like being there to help.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I never thought about doing HR because I was trying so hard to get in Western and doing an education, right? So that was my goal. I tried many times, I failed, and I was like, okay, finally I'm gonna give up. And then I applied for Fansha. The funny thing is I went there to talk to the counselor, and the one person told me that I should do the 3-year program and then get a bachelor degree. I was like, well, if I had the money, I would probably do that. But the problem is I didn't have that much money. So that's why I was looking for something I could do and get a diploma or degree right away so I could find a job. And she was really trying to convince me about that. I was like, I don't really believe that's what I want. But yeah, thank you so much. And then I went to our dean. I don't know if she's still the dean, the department of the business department right now. But I emailed her, I say, is that possible we could set up a meet and I can talk about, what's the difference between those two programs, potential. And then she just said, The only thing for you, because I was an international student, is if you do this, you can only use that in Canada because everything, regulations, policies were all about Canadian law, right? So I said, okay, I understand that. Then I took it. That's when I felt like I never regretted taking that course. That's because how we met each other. Right.
Aww.
Right. So I started. I had a hard time. I think first month, and it was just. I thought my English was pretty good, but the first month that was really hard. I didn't understand anything. And then we had the conference at like a job fair or business for something. The conference. Remember the?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was some sort of HR conference that we went to, right?
Yeah. That's when I became very close to Soumya, and we became friends. I didn't even know how. I don't remember those moments, but we weren't really close back then. And we had our exam group, and you weren't even in the group, but you kind of felt bad what happened to us afterwards. Remember? Right. So, oh yeah. And I remember that part because we were waiting for buses. Yeah. And then I was telling you what happened. I feel really bad because I didn't get in trouble because of the way I managed the test, right? I told you about that. And I felt like, and then you shared your opinions on like, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. This is a personal choice or something like that. So, wow, okay, I'm talking to a girl who's really nice to me, who said nothing about my language, and she actually understands me. That's very interesting. So I didn't even know how we started.
Yeah, that's so nice, Faye. Yeah, because I was reflecting, knowing that we were going to have this conversation, just trying to think about how our friendship developed. And like, I remember meeting you at Fanshawe, and I remember not being too close to you initially. And I don't remember whether we just kept in touch. Like, I probably just like messaged you every once in a while or something. I don't know. I
didn't really remember like how we interacted at school. The only thing I remember, I thought about that the other day. I was just laughing out loud by myself, and Brett said, are you okay? So your MacBook, the white plasticky the thing, I remember you were typing so fast in front of me, and I could hear the keyboard like, everything was like, wow, that girl can really type. Holy cow. And you look at me like, oh, hopefully I'm not too loud. I was like, yeah, no, you're perfect. you're fine. And then you kept doing that. So wow, there's no way I can take notes like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny because my current roommate tells me that I'm a really loud typer. So I haven't changed, Faye. I'm still the same person you met, however long ago. 7 years ago? It was 2015, January 2015. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really crazy. I can't believe it. I can't believe 7 years.
Crazy. Mm-hmm. I remember one of the pivotal moments of our friendship that I recall was meeting you for lunch. Like, this has got to be probably 4 or 5 years ago. And we met up at a patio at a mall.
Hooray!
Yes. And I was laughing because the patio like just overlooked the mall parking lot. Like, it was the worst patio ever. I was like, look at all these cars and hear the horns or whatever. But I do remember like there was always something very different about you to me. Like, you're just so funny. And I mean, sometimes you intend to be and sometimes you don't intend to be. But I don't know. I just remember always really appreciating like your humor and your wisdom. And I don't remember what we talked about at that lunch, but I just remember feeling very close to you and like, oh yeah, this is a nice vibe that we have just one-on-one.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel the same. I think that's why I want to do this topic, because I feel like it's always you texting me, say, hey, how's it going? And here's the thing. I'm saying, oh, I forgot to give you some life updates or something like that. I'm really terrible at that. And that's why I kind of have a few friendships didn't really end well. I think, so I was trying to reflect on myself and feel like maybe my fault, because it's a mutual relationship. You can't just have one person to start everything all the time. You have to do something too, because then they don't feel like you're responsive, right? So I felt that way. But with you, I mean, I sometimes feel bad that only you're starting but most of the time, I feel every time, even we don't really talk very often, and we still feel very connected. And I can share with you a lot of very, very private things. I'm a very private person. I don't feel comfortable telling people about my vulnerable aspects, right? So I feel like I'm exposed to someone, and then I don't feel secure. But with you, I also feel like I want to tell you this, even it's bad things, awkward things. But I still feel like, yeah, I want to tell you about it. But at meantime, I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, Bae is so negative every time. When she thinks about texting me, it's always a bad news or something like that. So
No, Bae. Honestly, I do have a few friends who I feel like, well, yeah, one friend in particular, no names, but I do feel like I only hear from them if they need something. And that's not a good feeling. But you're not one of those people. I think, I mean, you kind of point to something for myself. Like I also, I'm fairly private, I think, and I'm definitely more of an introvert. So I'm not always reaching out to people. And in fact, I really don't have a lot of friends in my life who like I don't have anyone in my life that I talk to every single day. In fact, I don't want that.
same, on the same page. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, like I think the best kind of friendships are like you said, it is nice to have a back and forth, but I think in all relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic or what have you, there is, I think, always going to be one person who's maybe a bit more outgoing than the other one, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the thing for me is like I don't mind reaching out to people, but if I were to reach out to you and then you would never respond, that's when I feel like, oh, that person isn't responsive.
Mhm.
And I don't really keep too much of a mental tracker as to like, oh, I texted this person 3 days ago and they didn't respond. Like, trust, I mean, I do have a life. Like I'm, I'm not sitting I'm not sitting by my phone like waiting, why hasn't they texted me back? Like, I don't know. I just, yeah, I guess in the context of our friendship, I always got what I needed from you as a friend. And I know that I could call you or text you if I was really in trouble and needed something. But yeah, I don't feel like you're unresponsive.
Wow. Speaking of that, I felt like so, and I think it might be different for me because I'm quite international. Now I will have friends from China. Now I have friends from here, from all over the countries, and then we all have different cultures. So when it comes to friendship, I feel sometimes it's very complicated. I think the reason I have a happy life here because I fit in very well. I would say, yeah, I would consider myself fitting here very well culturally. I mean, I like when people set a plan and set a schedule. Even we're close friends, we'll talk about when to meet, how to meet. Is this okay for you? Does it day work for you or something? I really like that. But when it comes to dealing with my friends, and it seems like they said, I feel like we're distant. If we're friends, we're supposed to be like, oh, tomorrow, do you want to go somewhere? And I feel like, but people do have other plans. I can't just spontaneously say, yes, we'll go somewhere else tomorrow. So that way I had one friend. I really liked her. She was really, really nice. I just felt like she was a little bit too intense for me. Not like she did something wrong, but she was very outgoing and active. Maybe that's an introverted people who can't deal with that kind of things. I felt a little bit pressured because I didn't really want to go out all the time, but I also didn't want to say no to her. And then it turned to be like she said, "Why do you always say no to me?" And back then, you know me, I was trying so hard to with my school and other jobs. So I was trying to survive. And I said, well, through the week I had to do my school. I had like 2, 3 part-time jobs. I really didn't have the energy to say yes all the time. And then that's when I kind of ended the friendship at that moment. I of course felt really sad about it. But then I feel like, is that me not being good at keeping friendship? Like you have to put a little bit effort there, or it's just like you guys are two different people that I just don't get really along with each other.
Yeah, I mean, in that scenario, just based on what you just said, I would say that you're probably just not compatible as friends. Because I've definitely had those situations too, where I just feel like, oh, this person's reaching out to me too much. And again, I think just for me personally, as soon as I feel like someone's kind of trying to infiltrate my privacy bubble, I just feel like, no, get away from me, to be blunt. But I also feel like it could be an issue of priorities, right? Like maybe that person was super outgoing, but maybe they only had a few close friends and they considered you one of them. I know that I've heard from from other friends who have had friends like that, where they just feel like their friend is very centered on them, whereas they themselves have a lot of different friends. And I think that also points to why maybe I don't mind not hearing from people every day, because it's like, if I don't hear from you, then maybe I'm talking with someone else. And then, and, it always comes back to, again, just in the example of you and me, like it always comes back to, oh, I haven't heard from Faye for a while. I wonder how she's doing. And then I'll just send you a little text. And it doesn't have to be a lot either. It can just be, a funny dog meme or something like that. Right. Just a little something to say, hey, I'm thinking of you.
Mhm.
But yeah, in that example, to me, it sounds like you're just not compatible. That person just sounds intense.
But you're right that they could be that, they don't really have. Then I feel bad because I feel like they're really relying on me and I don't want them to feel like they're not important. I mean, they're still very important to me, but maybe because we have a different friendship style and I'm just not really into like daily conversation thing. I can't stay with my phone all the time. When I get home after work, my phone is mostly somewhere else. I couldn't even find. Every time I was like, "Where's my phone?" And then that's sort of thing. And then people will say like, oh, why don't you respond to my message?" And then I started to feel bad about it because I just don't feel chatting 24/7 and all the time, right? And also, well, I'm thinking about friends I have right now in China and here. We're all more like we don't really talk very often, but we're still very close and care about each other. I think it finally took me a few years to realize that maybe that's kind of friendship I want, not the hang out all the time kind of friendship.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of friendship just seems more mature to me, because I think once you're older and you have responsibilities, I mean, you don't have time to hang out with people every single day.
Yeah, exactly. When I was at school, which you're at school right now, I feel like I had more time to deal with a lot of things. Once I had a job, and then I feel like, oh my God, this is a lot because you're not only dealing with your school, and there are a lot of things you have to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, see, I feel like I have no time, but that's also, I feel like I mean, I'm sure your program was really intense too, but
Mhm.
I feel like I have no time. It did make me laugh just thinking about not being on top of your phone all the time. I did have a classmate last semester message me on Facebook Messenger, and I had seen the message, but I hadn't clicked on it because usually I don't click messages unless I'm like, going to respond,
Yeah, same.
right?
Mhm.
Otherwise I'll open it and forget. And the worst is when they can see that you've read it.
Same here. Oh my God.
um,
Okay.
but this person had messaged me on Facebook Messenger, and I thought, oh, I'll answer them in a couple hours when I'm sitting down, when I'm in a good headspace, and we'll see.
Mhm.
And I logged onto my computer, and this person had messaged me through Microsoft Teams to say, "Did you see my message?" And I just thought, oh my gosh, like my initial thought was this person's a psycho. But that was an example where I kind of learned, I kind of have to keep this person at a distance, unfortunately, because it seems like we have different communication styles, because I would never in a million years send someone a message and then send them a message on a different platform to see if they got it.
Message.
It's very strange, but
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, so that's what I was actually thinking about, but now I'm quite happy about friends I have now. And then it comes to the next question is, do you think it's easy to make a friends right now as an adult?
Hmm. I mean, I think for myself personally right now, because I am in, an intensive grad school program, and because we're studying to be librarians, kind of like you and I studying HR, I do think that there are certain programs that attract people, of course, that have similar interests, but perhaps similar values and personalities. And so I think, like HR, information attracts people who are sort of helpers, right? So
Mhm.
I found that because I just moved to a whole new province back in September, and because I'm in this quite intensive program where we all just happen to spend a lot of time together, and there's a lot of different people who've come from elsewhere, and especially on the tail end of a pandemic, a lot of people being isolated for the past, nearly 2 years. I think that I've been okay developing friendships as an adult, certainly because I'm back in school. But even in my professional life, I mean, I think Yeah, I mean, it really depends. As an adult, I found that I've gained the most friends by joining associations. Like I was in a really fantastic community choir in Toronto. That was a very loving, nurturing sort of community, and I gained a lot of friends from that. But I can understand, if you don't want to make friends through work and you're out of school, it might take a bit more effort to make friends, again, especially in the pandemic. What do you feel?
I I agree part of what you said there. Like I think I make my best of friends during my adulthood.
Mm.
And then they last maybe because we became more mature, and that is, I mean, you and some and other friends I have right now, and we kind of value what we have because we know it's difficult to make new friends. And part of me also think it's very difficult because then now, like we said before, they have their own life, they have their own priorities, right? So you are not the only one like what you used to when you were at school, especially like high school or like in your undergraduate. So your friend is everything to you. So I
Mm.
feel like uh, that's the part that makes me feel like making friends as adult difficult. Right.
Mm.
And plus, you're at school probably a little bit easier. I just assume it would be a little bit easier because you're all students, you're all focusing on study, and then you have same interests. But when it comes to work, right? So you are making friends. So your friends or anyone who around you or new people who's around you will be at work. And then would that make making friend more difficult? Because now your friends are your coworkers, and are you willing to share some of things that were very intimate, uh things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And that is an interesting question because you've made friends through work, but
Oh,
do you have friends who are current coworkers or is it from like former workplaces?
from former, yeah, I have Wanda, and I have Jennifer, so we're very good friends and very close. But even when I was working there, we're still very good friends. We share a lot of things, very close. But then after I left, we're still friends. Here, because the previous job I had, I've never been there at all physically. So everything was online,
Right,
right? So it was
right.
very hard. And if people are friendly, but I wouldn't say that we're friends. And
Mm.
now I physically went to a work site last year. Yeah, last year. And there are like three people on my floor. We're really close to each other. And there's one woman I really liked her, and I kind of shared a little bit of my own personal life with her. But I still feel like not like how I treat you. So there's something I want to keep just to myself. I will be nice to you. I will be friendly with you, and I can share
Sure.
something with you. But I don't think if there's something bad happens or if I need help, you're my go-to one. So I don't think is that like to you is that a real friend or it's just kind of friend at work?
I mean, I think that friendship can have different levels. I mean, you had talked about before, me having lots of different friends. And I think you can share different things with different people and you're going to have different commonalities, different interests, right? And I think, yeah, the work friend is tricky. I mean, before, I guess I'd say like the last 3 years, I hadn't really made close friends through work because I think again, when you're an introvert and when you value your privacy, which I mean, I guess could be true of introverts or extroverts. You have the obligation to go to work, and for me, I don't like the sort of obligation of sharing things with people at my work, right? Like I kind of do like to keep my personal and professional lives separate, I guess. Um,
Yeah, that's the thing. I think.
but yeah, but I do think also we spend so much time at work. And sorry, babe, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, no, no. Yeah. Oh,
I think we spend so much time at work at the same time, like it is kind of nice to forge those connections, especially when you're in similar positions and you're dealing with similar things. Like I made two really great friends from former assistant. I was an assistant for a long time and I made friends with former assistants because I do think you kind of have to have those colleagues who help you through, and you have to have those people that you can vent to a little bit. And if they just stay work friends, that's perfectly fine, I think. And it's still real friendship because again, it's like we as humans, not to get too philosophical about it, but we as humans are meant to connect, right? And different levels of connection is still connection. But of course, you do need those friends in your life as well who know everything about you, and that, you have no secrets also.
Mhm. I actually, you brought this good point there, because I'd been teaching at home, uh from for the Y for a long time, and every time, I know, the moments I had there, it was kind of like not happy about everything, and I had nowhere to vent. I feel like I need someone who knows what's going on,
Totally.
will understand what's going on there, right? But and then, because I didn't meet anyone there, and I didn't feel safe to, message each other and say, oh, what do you think about this, and then so kind of feel like, she's new and she always complains about everything, so I didn't want to make them feel that way. But when I went to Thames Valley, and I feel like, and we even have like a Friday afternoon tea chat or something, like we got together and talk about, oh, this is really terrible, and look at that, they shouldn't happen. And if you have, like, I had problems, questions, and they were like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal, everyone make mistakes like that. And those sort of things, is you can't get them from the outsiders, even they're your close friends, you just can't get, because they didn't understand your whole work environment. But those people do, and that's why I think, they're friends. They're also work friends, and they understand part of your personal life and your personality as well, but also your work life there. So that's why they will say something, kind of like a customize their words for you.
Yeah, I
Mm.
think that's so true. I mean, because they understand it more intimately than, say, like your partner or, an outside friend could understand it, right? They're in the thick of it with you. I know I have one friend who I'm fairly close with, and we became friends basically because we hated this other assistant. But which is terrible. But at the same time, I think, I guess the only thing with work friendships is like you do need to have those people to vent to, like we were saying, but you also don't want a friendship built entirely on like hatred and like venting, especially about other people, right? So I guess for me, I love venting, but I am always careful with the few work friends that I've retained to make sure that, we have something in common other than just a mutual dislike of the situation, the person, whatever it is, right?
Mhm. That's something I think I'm getting better. I'm always that kind of person. If you're nice to me, I'm open to you 100%, and I would dump everything I have to you. And then afterwards, I would be like, oh, why did I say that? Now I regret whatever I said to you. And then what if you're gonna, say, babe, yeah, I don't like her, and then turn your back on me, and then I kind of had that insecurities after I said everything to the person. But I'm getting better now. Is like what you said, you want to vent, but you don't want to be like full, like your friendship is wholly based on the hatred or whatever, or on the other person, because once you leave here, then you might not have the friendship anymore, and then you might just be an acquaintance to that person. So that's something I'm getting better, and I'm careful, but still sometimes I would say something that I would regret afterwards.
I know. It's hard. Well, especially when you want to share and you're not sure if you can trust the other person. I will say, like, there's that old adage that says the people who will gossip with you will gossip about you. And I think that's very true. And so again, I mean, I'm just trying to make the distinction between it's okay to vent and to have these kind of work discussions because we're all human. We all need to vent sometimes. But again, I have worked with people in the past who it's like it feels like all they do is complain, and you're not. I know, even though we don't work together, but I know you're not one of those kind of people. But again, it's one of those little things that, again, in my kind of like, almost 31 years of life, it kind of sends off little alarm bells.
Yeah.
Um, and I think too, when we were talking about making friends as an adult, I think the thing is when you're younger too. Just to go back to what we were saying before, I just had a thought. When you're younger, you are trying things out, right? And you probably have more energy and boundless time
Yeah.
to explore and to meet all sorts of different people. And then as you get older, you kind of realize, I don't think you close yourself off to things as much, but you might be more discerning because you know who you are and you know what your values are. And you also know that you have more limited time, right? So the people that you're going to make time for are going to be worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, that is our part one. Hope you like it. If you do have any opinions or ideas or thoughts on friendship, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. I will read it. I will share that with my friends as well, and I will definitely respond to it as well. So stay tuned for part two. I'll see you next time.